welcome to the Culture Cast. I'm Chris Dashew, and I am joined by the Mike White of Mike White March, because he's here, and he programmed the movies, and he's here to talk about them.
I'm the man to blame.
I'm not going to blame anyone for anything. There's no fault here. We're going to be talking about another foreign sci-fi film. It's called The Secret of Steel City. But my question to you is, Mr. White, do you want to take a crack at the Czechoslovakian pronunciation of the movie?
Would it be, and this is my best check, would it be Tajemski Osolofo Mesta?
I think so. I was going to go with something close enough to that where I don't even need to say it. Like Tajemstvi Olevso Mesta? Something like that. However, this is not an original idea. This is based off of the Jules Verne, much easier name to say, novel called The Begum's Fortune, or The Begum's Millions, which was published in 1879. We're talking about The Secret of Steel City. So the film is directed by Ludwig Raja, written by Ludwig Raja, obviously off of a Jules Verne book. It stars Jaromir Hanslik, Martin Ruzek, and Josef Winkler, and it is a film about a tale of two cities.
A sale of two titties?
Oh my... Got him. Yeah, this is a movie that... it's a film. You can watch it. Maybe. It would probably be rather hard to find if you were to hunt it down. So I am curious, Mr. White, why did you pick this film?
Well, I've never seen it before, and I do tend to like Czechoslovakian sci-fi films, though I think I tend to enjoy the earlier ones. This was made in the later part of the 70s. I tend to enjoy the ones from the 60s a little bit more, at least the ones that I've seen. And yeah, though this was, I do love Ferrat Vampire, which I think was 82. I don't think I've seen any Ludwig Raza films before. I'm not sure if I'm going to be hunting any of them down after this. I didn't mind this film, but I also wasn't super compelled. It took me quite a while to realize that Jaromir Hanslik was actually playing the two characters. I felt pretty stupid about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I think we've had this conversation multiple times in the past, and I think we're going to have it right now, just based off of that statement you just made. There are some foreign films that I watch that I just have no idea what's going on. This is one of them. It's a little hard to follow at times.
Well, also that there's all this intrigue and who's to trust who and who's playing who. So, yeah, I think had I been able to watch this 2 or 3 times, I probably would have been able to keep up with it a little bit more. But, the basic story is this whole idea of a over-industrialized city that wants to... this is before the neutron bomb, but it basically is the neutron bomb that they want to drop on the peace-loving city across the way so that they can steal all their resources, kill all the people, take all the resources, and basically create another steel city. Because they ruined one, why not ruin another? They want to take Fortuna over and just, screw all those people. And they want to send over this bomb, which will murder them all and basically freeze them with a frozen gas.
It's carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Yeah, it's CO2, because it's if you take one of those CO2 canisters that you can clean your keyboard off with and you turn it upside down and you spray it, it becomes super cold. Okay.
And I love that the bomb that they're sending over looks like that capsule that they sent to the moon in the why am I forgetting one of the premier filmmakers who ever lived in the entire world. Why am I forgetting that guy's name?
Talking about the one that lands in the moon's eye?
Yeah. Why am I forgetting that filmmaker?
I'm not a film student, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Oh, you've seen Hugo, right?
Yeah, is that a Scorsese film?
Yeah, Georges Méliès. There we go. Jesus Christ.
You've seen Hugo. Yes, what does that have to do with this?
Well, Hugo is ostensibly about Georges Méliès, even though they sold it as a story of a boy with a robot. And then eventually it turns into this, like, almost biopic about Georges Méliès. And it's like, okay, where did this movie come from?
Yeah, Hugo is one of those movies I kind of have avoided.
Yeah, no, you're probably right for doing that. If you skip like the first 20, 30 minutes of it and just watch it as the Georges Méliès story, it's much better than a kid trying to avoid Sacha Baron Cohen at a train station.
Boy, I really could probably go the rest of my life without that. It's not that I don't like this movie. And if you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I rarely come away from a film disliking something at this point. I try to be as creative with my I try to be constructive with my criticism whenever possible. It almost seems like it spins its wheels a lot of the time. And I don't know why I wanted this movie to be... I wanted there to be more to it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, it's literally essentially a tale of two cities, and not a tale of two cities, a tale of two cities. And one is essentially like a dictatorship, a militaristic dictatorship, and the other is kind of a idealistic monarchy.
Yeah.
Kind of oligarchy, maybe?
They don't tend to go into that much about Fortuna. So much of it takes place in Steel City once they figure out that there's something bad happening there. And they send over the one guy who, for whatever reason, is a complete double of one of the bad guys.
Yeah, it's... I walked away from this movie going, that's it? It's not... I honestly find it a little bizarre that this is even called a sci-fi film. Right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Especially now that so many of these things are possible. When the book was written, it was much more science fiction, I imagine.
Well, when the book was written in 1879, the ideas that Jules Verne was coming up with were revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
Like a gas bomb. And
right. Because this is quite a few years before World War I. I'm sure they were working on stuff like that, but that was the big deal was, turn of the century with, using mustard gas and trench warfare and all that. But yeah, this just being like, hey, we're going to bomb this city and take it over and rape it of its resources.
Because we can.
Yeah.
Just because we can.
Yeah, that's it. It's basically we're jealous of this other city. It's like, okay. There wasn't anything more to it.
Well, and it's like these are like the two main characters are related.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. They like try to explain that at the beginning of the film, and I'm like, okay, sure, they're related.
Janos and Saracen, like the guy who founds Fortuna and the guy that founds Steel City
are brothers, I guess? Or related?
They've got different last names, but then you've got the two guys who are actually played by the same actor, and I would imagine they're related since they are basically twins.
And that was, like you mentioned, I didn't pick up on that either.
It wasn't until the one guy shows up at the other guy's house, and I was just like, oh, there's two of them. Okay, and then he murders the other guy and takes his place. And I was like, okay, well, this should be interesting, but it didn't. It felt like, it's like you were saying, it felt like there was maybe half an hour worth of movie and it was stretched out to be much longer than that.
Oh, yeah. Like, it really is a film that is padded out. And then there's, like, a side plot with the child who's, like, trying to get the messages to Saracen. What's really insane about this movie to me is what you just said. Like, it really is just like a fucking hour and a half movie that could be 10, 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
If that, right? If that. Like, there's, like, nothing, like, thinking about it now, I watched the movie, I know you did too, but, like, I don't feel like a whole lot happened.
No, it took way too long for it to just get there.
And it's like, it's shot rather well, right? I mean, you could look at it as, like, a Cold War analogy.
Oh, definitely.
Right? But then the ending completely throws it for a loop.
Yeah.
I feel like you're more disappointed than I am.
I am, because I wanted this movie to be better.
Right.
I really was like, oh, cool. Because like I said, I really, every year I dedicate a month to Czech films and on the projection booth. And I'm just like, okay, cool. This was exactly what I was looking for. I was like, okay, great. A sci-fi film from Czechoslovakia I've never heard of before. But I should have said, like, let's pick, Man from the First Century or I Killed Einstein, Gentlemen, or something else that would have fit the bill as well. But here I was trying to kind of stay in the same time era of the rest of the films that we're going to be talking about this month, as well as, something that was not American made. But yeah, this one kind of, I wouldn't say it blew up in my face. Yeah, but yeah.
I don't think it blew up in your face. I mean, I don't think this is a bad movie. I just don't think that enough in this movie happens to justify an hour and a half runtime. And again, I'm also not sure that this is really science fiction. I know that Jules Verne was, operating within, like, these steampunk, like, narratives and, the journey around the world, or journey to the center of the earth. And he wrote Around the World in 80 Days and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Like, those are, in my mind, like, steampunk inspired or inspired the steampunk movement. And this has that, right? It has, like, a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. But it never really follows through on it in a way that matters. It doesn't feel sci-fi. Like, I wanted there to be this, like, oh, and it's like a advanced culture and an advanced civilization, and nope, it's like, and one is kind of Baroque and the other one is kind of Baroque. So
yeah, had the people in Fortuna been special in some way, and had it been really a utopian society, but I just don't feel like we even spend enough time there with the folks and say, like, oh wow, this is a fantastic place, and oh my goodness, these people from Steel City are going to ruin this. But I never get that. I don't invest in any of these characters.
Yeah, like, I should want them to not die.
Right.
But
I don't care.
Well, that's the other thing that the film really misses the mark on, is giving us characters that we should care about.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like the kid who ends up floating in the balloon. I was just like, okay, I know he's trying to reach the other side and deliver the message and let them know that this bomb is coming, but I don't care.
And that, I think, is the biggest failure of the movie, is not giving us characters to care about.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So apparently the BBC split this into 3 parts and then had narration from an actor over it. I would be curious to see that, if it, like, moves it along any, or did they keep the dialogue and then have the narration on top of that, or did they just have this guy narrate it over no one speaking?
I would assume the latter, right?
Could be.
I think it's weird that the BBC did anything with this. Like,
yeah,
sure,
I'm sure it was very cheap.
I mean, that's the other thing about the movie that is the bigger disappointment, is the movie looks cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It doesn't... And you can do sci-fi on a shoestring budget, but this movie is just a bunch of dudes in suits walking around, talking.
Yeah.
There's no unique sci-fi flair to it. It's just a bunch of guys in suits going, that's weird. They're doing something over there. Okay. You go find out. Okay, disguise yourself. All right. Come back and tell us what it is. Okay. Well, now they're going to die at the end because they tried to blow us up and they killed themselves in the process. Okay. It's just odd to me how little is going on in this movie. And maybe the book is like that. I can't imagine it is, but maybe it is.
Yeah. I didn't have time to sit down and read the book. I wanted to, but I did not.
Gotta be better than this.
I would think so. I don't know if I've actually ever sat down and read any Jules Verne, so I'd be very curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, I haven't read any Jules Verne either. I mean, I've obviously seen The Time Machine, and...
That's H.G. Wells.
Oh, right! God damn it. Okay. I have definitely seen Journey to the Center of the Earth with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, well, who hasn't?
I have seen Around the World in 80 Days with Jackie Chan and Steve Coogan.
Of course.
Yeah.
We're talking seminal cinema here.
Yeah, seminal classics. AFI classics. They're in the American fucking film institute. Not the American. What's the thing that you can like?
Oh, the film archive. Yeah,
yeah, like the film archive. Yeah, that right there. Yeah, that's.
Oh
good.
yeah. Oh yeah. The AFI loves those. Criterion, all those sweet Blu-ray releases that they've gotten. Yeah. I prefer the second Journey film with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, though.
I forgot about that. That's the Mysterious Island.
It's the whole like Journey series that they're going to try to do.
Journey to the Mysterious Island came out in 2012. I saw that film in theaters.
Me too, and the Brendan Fraser one too.
Yeah, same here. Boy, we are fucking miserable, aren't we?
But I didn't see Around the World in 80 Days in the theater.
I didn't see it in theaters, but I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, I was kind of burned out of Jackie's American work after the incredible Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon.
Shanghai Nights now featuring a rapist. Great.
Really?
Well, yeah, Roman Polanski is in Shanghai Nights. Oh, excuse me. Not Shanghai Nights. Rush Hour 3. Boy, completely different movies. Shanghai Nights is great. How dare you?
I don't know. What? Did I attack it?
I don't know. Do you not like Shanghai Nights?
I'm not a big Owen Wilson fan. Let's just put it that way.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. I mean, look, Owen Wilson is take it or leave it, right?
Yeah. I tend to leave it.
Stay away, far away. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I feel like if you ask someone who wrote The Time Machine, they would tell you it was Jules Verne. I mean, H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, like we're operating in kind of the same sphere of writing. I mean, you know, H.G. Wells wrote from the mid 1800s to the mid 1900s, and H.G. Wells and Jules Verne was writing around the same time.
Yeah, they were contemporaries.
Yeah, so I've read neither of their books. No, I have read The War of the Worlds, which is H.G. Wells.
Correct. As well as The Invisible Man that isn't about the black guy who doesn't get respect.
That's Ralph Ellison.
Yes.
Boy, talk about getting a bunch of high schoolers excited and then dashing their hopes immediately. Or reading The Invisible Man. Oh, you mean that? No, Ralph Ellison. All right. I've never read Jules Verne, and now, like, thinking about it, I kind of want to, right?
Yeah.
You know, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Captain Nemo, like all that. I mean, that's classic literature.
You know what they should do? They should take, like, some of these characters and put them together, like all these contemporaneous characters.
Into a league?
Yeah, like, I'm thinking, like, Tom Sawyer,
Alan
Dorian Gray. Yeah, Alan Quartermain. Yeah. But yeah, I really want to see Dorian Gray and Tom Sawyer there. I think that would really work well.
Mina Harker. Mm-hmm. Boy, oh my God. Boy, that is a movie that exists. And the sad thing is the comic book is so good. Like the graphic novel is so good, and boy, they just...
Oh, man. Yeah, they just gutted that thing.
Yeah, and Sean Connery essentially retired from acting because of it. So, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jules Verne, though, like, I mean, one of the fathers, I mean, I think he's widely considered to be the father of science fiction. But, boy, why this story, though, right? I guess because everything else has been done to death?
Well, and also you got to remember, 1979, we're still in the Cold War.
Sure.
This is... a decade before the Berlin Wall falls, before Perestroika and Glasnost, and especially this being Czechoslovakia, which was under the thumb of Soviet regime for so long. So I can see where they're like, hey, we're telling a story about this thing, and we're not really telling a story about how bad Russia sucks.
Which it does. Russia sucks. It really sucks.
But especially to the Czechoslovakian people, this was 9 years after the Prague Spring, so they're still hurting over there.
Hey, man. You pick Eastern European sci-fi films, but no Ukrainian ones. Oh, wait, never mind. Letters from a Dead Man.
What?
Letters from a Dead Man, which, by the way, looks like it was... I mean, I liked that film a lot, but now it looks like Citizen Kane compared to this film.
Are you breaking the time continuum? Isn't this before?
Oh, I don't know.
Re-release
this time continuum is already broken. I can't keep anything straight, like in my personal life.
When you introduced this film by saying we continue, and I was like, wait a second, isn't this the first one?
Yeah, we're halfway through the month. Oh wait, just kidding.
But we haven't released anything.
We haven't released
it's
a single podcast yet. So yeah, what Mike is talking about is the fact that I am going to be out of town in the month of March. And I and Mike got ahead and recorded a podcast a couple weeks back that will be coming out halfway through the month, as opposed to not doing it at all, which is probably what would have happened if I hadn't gotten around to it. So yeah, so we're all out of whack here. I will say this much about Jules Verne and this story. I do appreciate that they tried to tell a story that is timely for the time that the film came out. Mm-hmm. However, I think in attempting to cow-tie to the quote-unquote timeliness of the story, they lost sight of what, just by reading synopsises and reviews of the book online, made the actual source material so good.
Yeah, it seems like this book was much more rich than the film that we got.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I understand budgetary constraints. I understand a lot of that. If you can't make a film the way you want to make it, maybe make something else that better fits inside of your wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Don't do a story a disservice because you can't fully capitalize and execute the idea that you're going for. And look, like there's a lot in the book that clearly like is Jules Verne predicting the future with the Nazis, because it's kind of a Nazi thing. They're kind of like they don't even make it clear that the quote unquote villains of the film are racists,
right? And
like that's a big part of the book is that they're like the superiority of the Germans over the French. Like they don't even make that apparent in the movie, and it's like you want to make your villain seem dastardly, give them something dastardly to do. Because honestly, like I other than the villain just being like, I want to destroy the city because I'm a fucking dickhead, like there's nothing in my mind that gives away the fact that this guy is an outright villain.
Exactly.
Right? This is post the rise and fall of the Third Reich. You could have used some kind of imagery. I'm not saying like just throw swastikas into your film, but I am saying like maybe evoke that imagery a little bit.
But that was also something that the Czechs would do quite a bit, at least in the 60s. They would say, they would criticize Nazi Germany and actually be criticizing the Soviet Union.
Right.
It would be like, oh yeah, no, it's the Nazis. They're the bad guys, and look at how awful they are. And they'd be doing the exact same thing that Stalin was doing.
The USSR doesn't get it. We're making fun of them.
Like, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah. It's not a bad film, because I think bad is so subjective of a term. I think it's just, like we've said before, I think it's more of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it could be a lot better.
Right. There could be so much more, and clearly the source material is so much more than this. You know, and I want to get around to reading the source material. I really want to get around to reading more Jules Verne. I really do. I don't think the Begum's Fortune is where I'm going to start. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I might try to find something a little bit more accessible.
Yeah, like Around the World in 80 Days or Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Something.
I don't know. Not like a weird morality story and like a play on like two feuding cultures. Or like a cautionary tale, I guess. Kind of a cautionary tale.
Yeah. I mean, it's also weird when you're doing something in 1979 and you can't really say like, hey, look at this. Look at how far advanced Jules Verne was. You know,
right?
Yeah, it doesn't really work.
And then how about the conclusion to the film where the villain just dies?
Yeah.
Like, I have to believe in the source material it was written better than that. Right?
I would hope so.
I would hope, right, yeah, because the villains in the film kill themselves by accident. Okay? But you wouldn't know that. There's like a whole 5 minutes that goes on where you're like, what is happening here?
Right.
And I was reading some of the reviews on IMDb, and they're like, the set design is great. And it's like, what? Great espionage film. Like, what are you watching? What did I... No, what did I miss? That's... I mean, honestly, you've been doing this longer than I have, and so you can't tell me that you've watched a movie and read a review and been like, what did I miss?
Oh, yeah.
What are you watching?
So many times where I'm like, what... Did I just watch the same movie?
Yeah, it's like, was this, did we watch, separate copies? Did you watch the Academy version?
Right.
Yeah. What did you see that I didn't? Because it's just sometimes with a film, especially like this, I'm just like, I must have really missed the mark. Big time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was kind of like when I was reading other reviews of The Irishman. I was just like, okay.
Best film of 2019?
Was there a better version? Did the Academy get a better version of this?
They did. It was called Goodfellas.
Oh, okay.
Go figure.
They just slapped a new thing right on there?
Yeah, I mean, I would, because it's better than watching that movie for 3 hours.
New label on the DVD.
Irishman. It says Goodfellas underneath. No, Irishman. You're good.
And then there's the big cheap Chiron titles when it comes out.
Yeah.
Irish goes across one way, and then man goes across the other way, and then it meets up in the middle. Irishman.
Yeah, I mean, anything is better than that. Anything is better than Irishman, except for The Secret of Steel City, because after Letters from a Dead Man, which was so good, I was hoping that we were going to continue that quality into the next films, which is technically before that one, but I was hoping, and it just didn't deliver. Which is maybe why you didn't watch this movie for the longest time.
Yeah. I live to disappoint you.
Oh, you didn't disappoint me. You can't disappoint me. There's no way you could disappoint me. What would you give the film out of 5?
I'd give it a 2.
Yeah, I think I would give it about the same. I'd give it a 2. There's nothing in this film, there's really nothing in this film worth getting excited about. Except for maybe Martin Ruzic's performance, but I've got to imagine that he was in better films.
Uh-huh.
And he has a great look to him, right? He's got a unique look, which helps. But yeah, I've got to imagine that there's better movies or better pieces of entertainment that he was in, because this is not it. All of that fun out of the way. Let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Culture Cast, if I can find one, because I haven't been able to for some of these movies. Because shockingly, they're all in a foreign language it's hard to come by.
You now feel my pain.
I get it.
Rok temu skończyła się atomowa wojna. Ludzie, którym udało się przeżyć, widząc nasze uniformy, okazywali obojętność, czasem pogardę. Głupcy. Kto wygrał tę wojnę? Burowie nie przychodzili. Nikt nie przychodził. Byliśmy sami, z czeredą niedobitków, której mieliśmy bronić. Bronić. Trzeba ich było zebrać, zorganizować, przewieźć gdzieś w bezpieczne miejsce osłonięte od promieniotwórczych opadów. Gdzieś, gdzie mieliby szansę przeczekać, przeżyć, rozpocząć wszystko od nowa. Takie miejsce istniało. Wysoko w górach stała budowla, której kopuła izolowała od wpływów atmosfery. Trzeba było tylko nakłonić tę ogłupiałą ciżbę, by schroniła się w tym azylu. I wtedy powstał program Arka. Arka, którą wymyśliliśmy po to, by ich ratować.
That's right, on the next Culture Cast, we're going to be talking about Obi-Oba. And we're going to be joined by our good friend, Jess Byard. And, boy, yep, I'm looking forward to that one. As I know you are, Mike. You'll be there.
Yes, I will be there.
Much to your chagrin, maybe. Until then, until that episode of the Culture Cast, where can people find you?
You can find me skulking over at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com.
And you can find me here, one-season show, Dreams for Sale, Chronicles from the Crypt. Ooh, that was a good save.
Chronicles
from the Crypt. The one-season show. Those are all podcasts that I am on. Some of them you're on, Mr. White. We're all over the place. And, if you want to listen to us, those are the places. And also, patreon.com/culturecast is where you can find out more about what you can do to support us. Us being me. Because Mike has enough Patreon supporters, apparently. I do not.
I have 100 people that love me.
I have one. That isn't... Aww. Yeah, one. Which,
is that
you know
your
what?
Mom?
No, fuck you. It's not my mom. With my mom, it's two. You son of a bitch. You are giggling to yourself over there like a child.
Am I?
I can hear you laughing.
I didn't mute this.
I can hear you laughing. But no, patreon.com/culturecast where you can go to support the show. Big thanks as always to Tiger Blood Jewel for the music for the Culture Cast, and we'll catch you on the next episode.